Yeah, see this? See, this graph here actually shows the complete opposite of that, because we're actually doing better than possibly we've ever done on the channel. Yeah, okay, whatever you say. Now, I had a whole intro for this video all planned out, but I'm just feeling really awkward and quiet, and it's a bit later than when I planned to actually shoot this thing, so I'm gonna have to do this in a little bit of a low-tone voice until we start the actual video. My apologies, but everyone does love a good plot twist, even if it's completely changing the format of your IRL section. Regardless, these are the top 5 best Nintendo plot twists I could find. There's not a lot of plot twists that Nintendo have made, and a lot of them kinda suck. So I made the best with what I could with a top 5. This was originally also combined to be a top 5 worst, but I decided to take that out, so the editing might be a little bit weird. I do apologize, but it's kinda how we're gonna have to go through things. I had so much more of a gimmick going on here, and I'm too newbie at all this IRL stuff. Oh well. As another disclaimer, I've been trying to lean more towards recent games and their plot twists, as many of the retro ones have been gushed about countless times. But we'll see how that goes. There's already not a ton of plot twists to go on, so we still might end up playing with some pretty old titles. Here are Nintendo's top 5 best plot twists. The number 5 best Nintendo plot twist is the ending of Super Mario Galaxy. In the whole game, you're collecting a bajillion amount of power stars. You're all trying to build up your Comet Observatory and hopefully get yourself over to saving the princess. You'd think then, when you're fighting Bowser, you defeat Bowser, you take the princess, you save the day. That sounds pretty standard for a Mario game, but no! Not in Super Mario Galaxy. Instead, the ending goes in a completely different direction to what you'd expect. When you finally defeat Bowser, he gets pushed away and sucked into a black hole. The black hole then envelops him and enlarges, and then suddenly grows bigger and bigger exponentially until it absorbs the whole universe and everything that could possibly be contrived within it. Everything you know, everything you've seen, everything you've witnessed is all suddenly being encapsulated by this giant gaping hole that needs to just suck in absolutely everything. Oh hey Void, is this what you mean by you'll still be here? Alright, see you later Void. The whole twist ending that the Lumas sacrifice themselves and the entire galaxy and universe of the game is completely reborn and respread in a different format is not the ending I think anyone would have expected, even 5 minutes before the scene started. It just goes completely out of left field and blew my kid mind. Number 4 for the best Nintendo plot twist is the same gimmick across multiple franchises in Nintendo, and it's the villain plot twist of who they actually are. In Kirby's Return to Dreamland, this is Magolor, the friendly, helpful new guy that's popped up that you're supposed to be fixing the ship for, actually at the end of the game reveals that they are trying to destroy the universe. You've been helping the villain the whole time, and they turn around and try and fight you instead. It's a nice actual surprise for a genuinely cutesy game. Alternatively, looking at Kid Icarus Uprising, the whole time as you're playing through like half the game, you're thinking that Medusa is the big bad demon of the game, because they've been revived and so, it's that kind of plot twist. But actually no, it's Hades, the real king of the underworld, who brought back Medusa and used her as a distraction point while he's actually doing his proper master plan of collecting souls and building up his army and causing war and all that fun. I particularly like this one because it's not just chucked in at the end of the game. This is like halfway through, or probably even earlier, where it's very much he is the primary villain for the majority of the game. He's not just chucked in at the end. Our third piece, of course, is from Super Paper Mario. It is Dimentio. This one I'd probably say is even better on that because it does this plot twist in multiple different ways. You believe the main villain is going to be Count Bleck, the generic evil magician guy who wants destruction with his evil book. But as you play through the game more, you find out more of this Count Bleck's backstory and his tragic romance story on the side and all this jazz. Then it just turns out that one of his little underlings ends up being more villainous than him. He has more of an evil intent and is planning to overthrow Count Bleck and push his own demands. He's also the guy that has all these crazy powers, like turning Luigi into a bad guy, a plot twist on his own, or just popping up in your room and destroying you and sending you to the underworld. I could even go on about other plot twists in Super Paper Mario, like when you're seeing this giant black hole in the background slowly get bigger, and then what do you know, one of the worlds actually gets encapsulated by it while you're in it. Hello, Void again. Number 3, for the best Nintendo plot twist, we've got Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion. This is actually really interesting. The whole gimmick is you don't entirely know what's going on. You're playing as an Octoling for the first time and you have to traverse some kind of underground tunnel labyrinth. You have this phone guy telling you to do certain things, and the quests that they end up putting you on is collecting 4 fangs. Yes, that is what they're called. You go and do all the jobs until you eventually realize these 4 fangs that you're collecting are actually pieces of a blender. And the guy on the phone is actually the bad guy telling you to ascend to another plane by blending yourself and Captain Cuttlefish. It's dark, and it's quite the twist. And then when you actually find out who's on the other side of the phone and you have to do a final boss fight against him, you discover that he's actually an AI that's gone rogue and was created by a well-intentioned human. And not only that, he fights with a statue of a human head. What? This is Splatoon I'm playing. I mean, I know it's a post-apocalyptic Earth, but this is a little on the nose. I would not have expected this. This would have been the last thing I would have expected from my Splatoon story mode. Good stuff. Weird, but good stuff. Thank you for making it this far into the video. This is the halfway mark. If you like this video so far, then you'll probably like the rest of my content. I'm mostly a Nintendo content creator. It's kind of my major thing. Do consider subscribing or even following me on Twitch. I am, again, a Nintendo streamer on there for the most part. I'm doing some variety things, and when Smash Ultimate comes out in a couple of weeks, I will definitely be playing that a whole ton as well. Here's my schedule, and here's my name. I hope you'll be interested in seeing that. But otherwise, let's get on to the rest of the video, because I don't want to keep up too much of your time. Number 2 for the best Nintendo plot twist is from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's the fact that everyone is dead. This one's a bit of a weird one because the game isn't quite out yet, but it's definitely a plot twist I don't think any of us saw. It seems a shame that we're not really going to be getting a Subspace Emissary style game, but at the same time, just this one plot point from Ultimate seems to kind of overshadow most of it. It's one thing to have this giant crossover of all these different gaming related characters, but then suddenly they're all dead, and that's the plot. I don't think anyone could have predicted this. I don't think anyone thought this would be the direction Smash would go. It makes sense with the plot now, but that was quite a surprise. Good lord. Because after building this roster of over 70 characters, suddenly every single one of them is wiped away except for Kirby. Though we don't actually see all of them, so maybe you're okay, aren't you, Anima? Yeah, I know you're not. Here's 4 honorable mentions. From Super Mario Odyssey, we have Mario capturing Bowser, the classic plot subversion. You'd never think that you'd have to become the villain to be able to save the world, but that's how it goes. I think it's quite interesting, but it wasn't big enough to get onto this list straight away. Going backwards in time a little bit more, we're going back to Pikmin 2. Yes, there's really that little plot twist that we have to jump around on the timeline that much. I do like the plot twist of Louie being left behind. It takes place sorely halfway in the game and opens up the whole rest of the game. It's also one you certainly don't expect, and it has some nice, interesting resolutions as it gives you a new ending point, as well as introducing the President into the game. Another plot twist coming from Pokemon XD, again from the GameCube, it's all of Fenac City being overtaken by the bad guy group clan. Whilst we've seen the city in the previous game of Pokemon Colosseum, and you saw it was a nice, functioning little town, In this next game, you assume it to be the same, as this is your first time coming to the city, until you find out everyone is battling you, and then you realize everyone's in disguise as everyone. It's a weird plot point, I'll give you that, but it certainly surprised me as a kid. And number 4 is from Rhythm Heaven Fever. There isn't really much of a plot, nor is there much room for plot twists, but if you ever play Tap Troop, you're playing as one of 4 tap trooping guys. What a surprise, it's called Tap Troop. And at the very end, it's revealed that their legs are extensively long. The camera angle just cut it all out. There's not a lot of plot twists to go with, so those were 4 really good ones that I figured I should point out. And as a bonus 5th honorable mention, because I only realized this as I was editing the end of this video, we're going to take one from Pokemon Sun. As generally, the Pokemon villains are rather flat. You can understand their gimmicks, you know most of the time who's evil miles in advance, but this wasn't the case so much for Pokemon Sun, or at least it was in some form. You have the main leader of the evil team in the form of Team Skull's leader, but you also have Lusamine. And the twist with her is that she combines with the Ultra Beast Pokemon, a new form of Pokemon going into this whole dark story, but we have never seen an evil main trainer combining with their Pokemon to add to this dark atmospheric moment of the games before. The Pokemon games are certainly going in a darker direction, and this was a very good and off-the-wall plot twist that breaks the boundaries of the Pokemon franchise as a whole. Cannot deny. And the number 1 best Nintendo plot twist is the Xenoblade Chronicles ending. Oh my lord, this is something else. Through the whole of Xenoblade Chronicles, you play as Shulk and his gang going through the world of Xenoblade Chronicles. You're fighting on different titans, you're making your way along, you meet some foes, you meet some friends, you go on and do all your thing, until eventually, like any JRPG, you're fighting God. And then you realize Shulk could also get these godly powers, because of course he can, he's the protagonist, and then you find out where the gods come from. Several of these super godly characters aren't actually the characters that they say they are. The main villain and main godly ally and main weirdo kid that's just going along for the ride is actually all part of a civilization that existed before the existence of the Xenoblade Chronicles world. What it actually was before it was a flat plane with these giant titans, it was an actual normal planet, not too much unlike Earth. And up in space, there were a series of scientists with a supercomputer shooting some kind of device that destroyed the original universe, and in doing so created the Xenoblade world. The computer's AI is what then became the manifestation of Alvis, hence why he seems to know a lot and is just going along with the ride. The main enemy, Zanza, was the guy who pressed the button and activated it all, and Maineth, your ally godly character person, was a fellow human and scientist who said, don't do it. It's all the matter of it was a real scientific world that was destroyed and recreated. Like, what? I can barely understand the explanation when I looked it up. It's something else. And I could actually have also put on this slot other Xenoblade Chronicles games. They've definitely gone hard with their plot twists. How about in Xenoblade Chronicles X, you are a robot? Why? I mean, it also makes sense in the lore. Everyone is not alive yet. You're all robots and your consciousness is alive, but your real actual bodies are in a ship piece long far away on the planet and you gotta find it. Ooh, I haven't even played Xenoblade Chronicles 2 all the way through yet, but I'm sure there's something big there. This was something like I was not expecting this kind of story on my Wii. But there it is. I don't know how you could top it. In my mind, that's just crazy to think, the way it all pieces together. I just can't say anything more. Xenoblade Chronicles has quite the plot twist in it. I guess that is all. I could even say the other ones, like the other characters and who they are and their reveals later, but you get the idea. And that was Nintendo's top best plot twists. There honestly didn't feel like there was a lot to play around with. Games like Breath of the Wild and Pokemon don't really have much in ways of plot twists other than, oh, you're bad and you're bad. Whoa. But maybe there were some glaring ones I missed. I'll admit I've never touched a Fire Emblem game or found much in Animal Crossing in ways of plot, so let me know how much of an idiot I am for not talking about Wind Waker's Tetra reveal or something like that. So, how did you find that, Void? Yeah, I guess that's kind of unavoidable. It's always the way. You got it, Void. He's already gone. Don't even need the flashy editing anymore. I hope you enjoyed this video, despite all that forced discussion to myself. The discussion was so forced with how I clearly don't want to speak too loudly. Huh. Good job, past me. If you did, consider checking out my other things and subscribing. Thank you to the patrons who made this possible, including our newbies North Act and Frantastic. My name's been Daz. You didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.